Oceania is pretty much in let's say Australia, in this part of the planet. Australia, it's a continent, but they include some other small nations, some of them a bit bigger, like Papua New Guinea. You're gonna see here they have Melanesia, which pretty much is gonna be the biggest one, Papua New Guinea. So the rest of them are kind of small nation, but mainly it's gonna be Australia and New Zealand and Papua, let's say, and the others are pretty small, so they don't make such a difference in our chart. But even that, you're gonna see in Oceania right now there are 46 million people. The population are still on the rise, but the growing rate, as always, declining. Now let's go back in the past. 1955, 14 million people, so already see a huge increase. Now in let's go with 2025, 46 million people, so a huge increase in population, and you're gonna see that why. Back then was 2.37% yearly change, and that will translate in roughly 300,000 people net increase. Now it's around 500,000. Migrants back then was 97, now it's 140,000. So you're gonna see the migration, they have a pretty significant path, that all on the plus, never on the minus, especially in the recent history, and that also is gonna stay the same, pretty much a bit more increasing in the future. Back then was 26 years old the median age, now 33, not that much difference, but still there is something there. Fertility rate 3.92, now 2.1, still sustainable, but you're gonna see how well they're gonna do in the future also. Density, I don't know how to spell that. Density, how many people are per square kilometers? Back then 2, now they are 5, so more than twice increasing, which is huge again. What is not huge, it's urban population, and take a look at this, but also keep in mind, back in 1955, only 65% of a total of the 14 million people living in cities. But now 66%, so not that much increase, 66% of the total of the 46 million people. So we're gonna see the increasing that much in population. That's why you're gonna see, especially in Australia, the housing market, it's insane, especially in the big cities. Now back then Oceania was ranking 6, now it's still 6. It's pretty much the region with the less populated on the planet, mainly because the Australia, it's a continent, it's a huge one, and anyone who tries to go there pretty much is gonna get killed by some wild thing there. So that's one thing that I think they keep the population under control also. Now in the future, 2050, the population are still on the increasing side, but still only about 10 million at 57 million people. So also the yearly change is going to be around down under 500,000 people, so under 1 million person per year. Net migration, they are still increasing. I know I saw some video from Australia and everybody say it feels like everybody moved to Australia. So this is how bad the cities especially it is, because anything there, it's extremely crowded. It is nice to live, I would say, because they kind of, let's say, sterilize the environment, because like I say, in Australia, anything, if you go outside the city, anything tries to kill you there. So it doesn't matter if it's a mosquito or a snake. If you stay too much outside the cities, eventually something they're gonna get you, and especially in the ocean. Now you're gonna see also the median age increase a bit from 33 to 37, 38, around that. So around 5 years you're gonna get older, but the fertility rate is going to be row replacement at 1.93. So we only see industrialized countries, they're gonna take that tool on themselves too. Maybe I'm gonna make a different video, especially from Australia, because it includes a lot of things, and I think they kind of corrupt our data. But from now we're gonna go with this one. I'm gonna make it on the continent size level, let's say, and the urban population are gonna go at 71%. So again, I'm gonna see a huge mess in a market house even from this century. So if those numbers go down, especially this one, probably is gonna see some release, but who knows. Now on the more let's say dark note, even Australia, it's one of those, and talking about them specifically, but pretty much everything on this side. New Zealand, I think from what we saw, especially in the pandemic, when they pretty much lock down every single one of them for no reason whatsoever. It's pretty much gone, so we don't have to talk about that much about New Zealand, and also it's just much smaller than Australian population. But Australia also, in those pandemic years, everybody remains those street riots. I think I saw a video with the police, and also they try to lock them down, which they succeeded because people are still growing weaker and weaker by the day, I would say. But you can measure that probably by the year. So people don't care about the freedom anymore. They just care pretty much about their comfort. If the government come to them and say, hey, we want more money, we want you to go to war, we want to die for us, people are gonna do it because this is how it works right now. But with Australia in the future, especially with getting so much migration, and you can see it here, and everybody kind of feels like the whole world's moving to Australia, especially in the city area, because they don't have that many cities. They have a very few of them, and most of them are on the East Coast here. They are gonna feel much more crowded, and the housing market is gonna be much more, let's say, I want to say destroyed, but everybody knows how bad things are in Australia. Even if it's one of those worlds that have a nice climate, they have that British colony there who's going on, but I think especially in pandemic, especially for me, I saw a different side of Australia that I never thought it was possible, especially again in big cities. In those remote areas, probably it's gonna be fine. You have a great life here if somebody doesn't or something doesn't kill you there. But in this part, let's say in the cities, I think Australia kind of destroyed that myth that it's pretty much a great place to live. Like I say, in pandemic for me, when I saw how they treat their people, that was pretty much a deal breaker, let's say. And also with New Zealand used to be one of those nice, calm country that nobody bothers. You pretty much do anything you please as long as you do not disturb someone else. That's gone, like I say. I think even Australia, I think they start talking about lockdown because climate change. So this is how insane they got, and those things are just because of the people let them. Like I say, people growing weaker and weaker with every single year, so they are willing to trade their freedom for nothing in the first place, and for their comfort, as they say. But not even comfort they have, because they don't have financial security, they don't have housing security, they don't have nothing there. So the only thing that I can see a different life that you can actually live, probably it's one of those deserts right here. They have a few things. Let's check one. They have a few roads. Yeah, they can have, like, I think the Alice Spring or something like that. It's called. It's around this area. So there are some hopes in some area if you live remotely, as far as away from the people. But if you live in those very urbanized place, you have no chance. So yeah, now we're talking about Australia. I have the Papua New Guinea, we have, like I said, the New Zealand, but those are small countries, especially Papua New Guinea. I don't know that many about them, but again, if they have that close to Australia, they have a lot of influence. And not to mention, if something breaks out between US and China, and the US start losing interest in those part of the planet, now we're talking about different problems, because at this time, I don't think their cousins, the British, is gonna come to save you that much, because they have their own problems. So I don't know how you're gonna pull this off, Australia, but we're gonna see in the future. But yeah, for this, but like I said, New Zealand, it's already gone. Australia, probably you have some hope if you're living in those remote areas. New Zealand is too small to don't see people pretty much everywhere you turn your head. But Australia, they still have that. And not to mention, they have that system, I think, in place for the Aboriginal people, for the native ones, that they don't sell them, I think, alcohol. They keep them in some of those reservations. They pretty much, I think, they have some stores that they give them a lot of sugar there. Then I see they have a lot of diabetes. They have a lot of disease there happening. So the population is going decimated by the day, even there. So again, Australia, not as we thought, and definitely not how we supposed to be and how we used to be also. But yeah, don't see any good days for Australians, especially those in the remote in the big cities. But like I said, in the future, again, those numbers 100% not real. Probably gonna see this declining population by 2050. So around 2050, I would say the migrants probably they're gonna go down too, because once you come there and see, you cannot live outside the cities pretty much, and in the cities there's not much to be proud of it. Let's say that. Let's put it like that. Fertility rate is gonna go down. Median age is gonna go up. Urban population, for some reason, is still gonna go up because people still going choose to live in those cities, mainly because, like I say, if you live outside the cities, probably anything that moves there tries to kill you. So you're gonna have that problem too, and there is that too. Yeah. So I don't know, I talk about Australia, but I have to talk about again for Papua New Guinea, but I don't know that much about them, but they have other issues there, so God knows what's happened there. But again, too small to make any influence. But Australia used to be, like I said, British colony. It is considered part of the West, and I do that. Australia is part of the West, especially, and New Zealand too. But the way they treat their people, especially, like I say, from pandemic when we saw what's happened there, it feels to look more like a dictatorship, and also same as England and the British. So not that difference. America kind of tried to survive this wave of stupidity and nonsense, but we will see how they can pull off in the future. But New Zealand is gone, Australia it's halfway gone, and the British, England especially, it's way gone. So yeah, from this part of the planet, so sad, because they have a great land, like I say. They somehow managed to, but it's not gonna happen, to just move the population outside the cities in those remote areas, but those then they kind of clean it so they can actually be a good environment to live, not anything tries to kill you there, like I said. Probably they can pull something off there, but I don't think so. So if you're living in Australia, good for you. Probably you're gonna love it, because you're gonna try to shut down what's happening in the news, in the media, in the government, and just try to enjoy the weather and the life there, which is a good way to do it. But overall, I think in a few years, even that beauty of the Australia is gonna kind of fade away.